Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about my toilet, which is a Separett Tiny. That's the maker model. But first I want to go back a few months when I unboxed it and talk to you all about how it was made and how it works and everything else. And then I'll come back to now and I'll tell you what it's been like for the last few months using it and yeah, what I think about it. So first of all, it comes with a 12 volt fan in there that you can either use on mains adapter or a 12 volt adapter. However, I'm going to try the sawdust approach. The fan is to take the smells away, but the fan runs permanently. So that's using power, and obviously what I'm trying to do, even though I've got lots of power, is I want to conserve power as well. And the other thing about the fan is that it must run through a hole in the floor or run out somewhere, and I've purposely not put any holes in the floor. Pine shavings. That's quite a compact bag, so I got a cereal dispenser box to put my shavings in, and from there I can dispense that in there to yeah, hopefully make it smell nice. Made by a company called Separett, and it's called the Tiny, and this is from their UK distributor called Woo Woo. And we need to open that up. That locks up in place, and I'll now start to assemble everything inside. That is my pee container, and that is my poo container, and these are all the bits for the ducting and other bits as well. So let's go through how we set it all up. So to give you this lovely template to show you where you can fix it down to the floor and also back into a wall as well. They've got holes in the back there as well. I'm going to have mine so the back is to the wall, against the wall that's separating the bedroom and the living room area. So yeah, I'll be screwing it in via those two screw holes there, but you can see the screw holes down the bottom, little plug holes there and there, and where you can screw it down to the floor as well. These are the accessories they give you inside the box. That's also the 240 adapter to 12 volt, and that's your 12 volt adapter for the fan. These pipes and accessories allow you to cap off the pipe or divert the pipe in different directions, which is for it to remove the smells. Like I say, I'm going to use it for the time being without these pipes until I determine where it's sort of finally going to sit. So for now I won't need any of this kit, but it's nice to know that they give you all the screws, fixings, and some silicone as well to fix all the pipes together and seal it all up. But for now, like I say, I'm not going to use them. So it looks like these, obviously caps for the container, like the urine container, so that when you go and dispose of it, you can put a cap on top of it, mainly so you don't spill anything. This is a collector on top of the urine container where you can put one of those urinal kind of tablets. So as you pee through it, it stops all the collection in the bottle of calcium and things like that. And then you also get bags for the poo container, and some absorption pads, shut that if there is any moisture in there, put that at the bottom of the bag, and that absorbs the moisture, and then it's all kept in the bag. So let's just see how it all fits together inside. So this bit is the bit that sits over there and protects your poo from being seen, and this filter sits in the top and filters out any nasty smells. So we're going to slot that in there, and that's that bit assembled. One thing I do want to say about connecting it to 12 volts is not only does it run the fan, but this little indicator here where it says Separett will indicate when the urine container needs emptying, like near where it's full. So if you're not going to power it up to 12 volts, then that indicator won't work. So you'll have to keep checking it manually. So just kind of understand that that's a nice feature it has, but without it being connected with a fan and the vents and everything, that won't work. It would be nice if you could have it so that this worked fine, but without having the fan running. Now the fan doesn't use a lot of power, something like 0.4 kilowatt hours a day, but it's just a constant drain on the battery and the noise as well, and the fact that it reverberates around the unit a little bit. So late at night in the middle of nowhere, potentially this could actually make a humming noise. Like I say, I'm going to wire it up, so we are going to find out. But right now my intention is not to do the full recommended installation because I haven't got the hole in the floor. And this is the noise the fan's making. So that's quiet if you're in the middle of a busy place, but in a small van, I'm not sure whether that'd be. It's moving a lot of air. I think that might be too noisy. To be fair, once you cover up the hole, that's what noise it's making. So if you did vent it outside, that noise would all go outside. So in the sample pack, you get 10 toilet or waste bags of the absorbent pads that go in the bottom of the bag. And then that is what I was saying about, it's the urine tablet, which is supposed to stop all the build-ups of all the nasty yellow stuff anyway that goes through in a pee container. So you get one of them as well. And some instructions about how to do it. So let's go through that now. This is the poo box. That's the poo lid. When you want to go and store it and carry it around, you can put a lid on there so that no one can see what's inside. And this thing around it needs to come off, because that's what keeps the liner in place. So the bags seem to be substantial anyway, so that's a good thing. And then the pad goes at the bottom. And then once you put the liner in place and the pad at the bottom, clip this back over again. Making sure that the edges of the bag are all outside. So once your solids go in there, it's not going to pull the bag in, because you want to make sure that the solids stay in the bag for obvious reason. So put that on there for now, and then we'll show you the urine collector. So this is the urine collector. And pretty much they give you that there to store that, and that there to store that. So once in the toilet, that's where your pee's going in there. Obviously through the rest of the toilet I'll show you in a minute, but that's where it's going. So this stays there and that cap stays there. Now when it's full, take the cap off there and pop the cap there. Like that. And that's sealed now. No problems. You can carry that around. That's sealed. Now when you want to empty it, put that there and then empty it out. Simple as. Make sure that you put that back on place, and then make sure that when you get back, you put that there. Alright, now let's put the urine container and the poo container back in the toilet and show you how that works together. So the poo container goes at the back. Take the lid off. That sits in place. And then this is the clever bit. This bit sits over the back there. Clips in place. Like that. And that's protecting your poo container. So lift up the protector of the poo. Drop this in place. So make sure they're both in nicely. Can't move around. Then that drops over it. And this is a little cover. When you sit down, that gets me out of the way. So let's pop the lid down. Now if I sit down, or pretend to sit down, that moves out of the way. See that? There we go. Obviously a lot of weight's needed to move that out of the way, but when it's not out of the way, that sits over there to cover up your poo, essentially. Now, remember I talked about the urine collector? That sits down there. And then we've got this little tablet that sits in there. Like that. So pretty much that is the toilet. So we lift the lid, and there you can see the little wee receptacle and the little trough that's holding that tablet in place. And then if I sit down or pretend to sit down, you can see then that the poo drawer opens up and then closes again once you release your weight. Now obviously if you lift this up to empty the container, what you've got to understand is that that's going to fall out. So don't lift it up so much, I guess, is the thing. And then to get to your poo container, just drop that in place. This comes out like that, and that allows that to come out too. There's also this, that's the instruction manual, calls a urine extender, and that clips in and there and down there, and I guess just makes the urine bowl slightly less chance of spilling back over for splashback, but it's not sealed. Just pull that back out. There's no seal in there or anything, and that's the urine bowl without it. So hopefully I won't discover I need that, and yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Listen to the fan. It's my only fan. Only fans? Oh, yes! Would you pay? How much a month would you pay for my OnlyFans? OnlyFans. So Amanda's just expanded the bag a little bit. Do you notice how we have blue for John and pink for Mandy? Because Man's getting her own version of a separate toilet, aren't you?
I am.
Separating
toilet, yes.
Which is going to be probably a different one. We're not decided yet. We'll see how this one pans out. So
that's literally
that tiny amount.
Is that full container?
It's going to be fun for us, isn't it?
It is.
Big learning curve.
Oh yes.
The one annoying thing is when you sit down, that smash noise of the flaps opening that covers the poo bucket. Even if you do the most kind of like gentle sit down and just absolutely as gently as you can, yeah, you might find that you don't create the noise and the cover opens, but then what you find is it jams open. So essentially you've then got to do that and bang, so that then when you sit up, the cover closes again. I would say the pee bucket for 2 people gives 2 days use if you're living in the van. It does, like I say, have a red light that comes on, and that's just for the pee bucket, and that warns you when you've got about a litre left before it won't accept anymore or it overspills, I don't know. So yeah, you get the red light on, and don't use it after the red light, in all fairness. And we still carry around pee bottles, so in an emergency we'll use a pee bottle, but it's really easy to take the pee bottle out of this toilet base and then just empty it out. You know, it takes about a minute if it's full, and then put it back in again, and that's fine. And as far as the poo bin, like I say, once you've lifted the main lid up, which yeah does weirdly sound, let me just demonstrate this. So you lift the poo lid, and that's when you get access to the pee and that. The only thing is when you put the poo lid down, that's the noise it makes. But as for emptying the poo bin, just lift the poo bin out, tie the bag, find a bin, drop it in. I know a lot of you had some sort of massive problem about that. That, you know, you don't want a bag of human poo going around. How can I explain this? So as well as me having a poo, a lot of toilet paper goes in there as well, because, you know, I wipe myself. And then I also add just whatever you call it, I guess it's bedding, sawdust or whatever, for animals. I add usually about 3 handfuls of this to the bottom of the bag when there's a new bag in. And then every time I use the loo, I'll probably add another 2 or 3 handfuls of it for obviously if I've had a poo. Most of the time that's enough. Most of the time it doesn't smell. Bear in mind, I have installed it so that the fan doesn't work at all. There's no outlet in the hole or anything like that for the smells to go, so I've just disabled the fan. So I'm sort of giving you a bit of an idea of what it's like without a fan. Fair enough, it's in winter, so I've not got the heat to affect the smells in that way. But like I say, the poo sits on sawdust. It then has paper on top, toilet paper on top of that, and a bit more sawdust on that. And yeah, again, you know, we are talking about toilets here, so now and again I have IBS. So if you're eating your breakfast, I'm really sorry. But yeah, I've had the squirts on this toilet, which you know, was probably my worst fear about this kind of toilet. I've had a van, lived in a van for 3 years, over 3 years now, and a cassette toilet can handle all that kind of stuff because it seals it up afterwards and you're done with it. You just find somewhere to dispose of it, rinse your tank out, and you're done. Whereas in this, I was really worried. I mean, where's the bags? So I'm using these Separett composting bags that actually come with it. So compostable waste bags for the Separett Tiny. So these are perfectly well designed. So in a roll, I think you get about, how many is there? There's 2 there. So you must get about 10 on a roll or something like that. They cost about 3 or 4 quid a roll, I can't remember. So I'm using these. Generally it's working out all right. I have a bad belly and I'm thinking these are compostable. It says compostable waste bags. How fast do they compost? Because I've just dropped a warm, moist, organic deposit in there without mentioning too many other things. And I'm worried. Is it going to melt the bag? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't have anywhere at that time that I could go and drop it in a bin anywhere. And I didn't really want to drive. The weather's pretty naff lately. There's loads of ice and snow around. So the other thing I've got in my kind of toilet supplies bag at the moment is Solbio. And what I would do is I'll drop a tiny little bit of that in the pee container. And that's kind of like, you know, refreshes the pee container. And if it's a particularly smelly poo, then I'll drop a tiny amount of that in the poo container as well. This is, how many litres is this now? 1.6 litres. And I've had this about a month now, and I'm probably, yeah, 3/4 full still. So that should last me quite a few months. And generally, I'm finding it all right. Not finding there's loads of smells in the van. I'm not finding any issues as a man sitting down to pee, because that's what they suggest, because obviously the opening for the urine connector isn't exactly big, and just a tiny movement of your gentleman sausage as you're having a pee could mean that you hit either the pee area or the poo bucket area, and you don't want to get pee in your poo bucket, generally, because you just have to change it out there and then. So yeah, just sit down to pee, and that's what they say. Like I say, they do have this, that they're open. It's weird. They're very open about poos and pees and using the toilet with genitalia in the correct area and all that personal space on your toilet. They're massive. Honestly, you turn up to a van life gathering and people will talk about toilet stuff. Well, yeah, woo talk about toilet stuff on another level. It's brilliant. So yeah, no holes barred. Hey, I had to go there, sorry. And yeah, basically there is a seating position that's best, so that as you wee, you're further forward. So you know, your wee's collected in the correct front receptacle. And as you poo, move back a little bit so that you have a clear drop over the open bucket. And you just get used to it. Mandy and I actually have to have different seating positions, so that each arrives in the right place. So yeah, you might find that some people sit one place, some people sit somewhere else. But overall, it's been a positive experience. I like the height of it, the build quality. Apart from that weird bangy clicky noise, the build quality is perfect. I would say it's better than something like a Thetford cassette, simply for the fact that I'm sat on it now and sat on that, actually the seat top as well. There's no flex in it or anything like that. There's no creaking or worrying noises or anything. Nothing's nasty underneath. I don't know, some of the Thetford stuff, you generally feel like sometimes like things are creaking and grinding underneath, but no, it feels totally solid. So build quality really good, and overall I'm quite happy. I'd be more happy if I paid the new price, because they've just dropped the price by about 100 quid. But again, you know, like, it is what it is. Can't argue with that. In fact, we've done a bit of a link kind of thing with them, commission link. So if you buy it from our link below, we get a bit of commission back from them. So hopefully, if I sell about 500, I might even pay for my own toilet. There we go. Yeah, so overall, very happy with it. Very happy with the service from Woo Woo as well. Brilliant name, by the way. Yeah, the guys over there, Martin's the chap I've been speaking to quite a lot, really know the stuff. They know their shit. It had to be done. I mean, in every other video, this would be considered crass. But in this video, I think it suits perfectly. So yes, the people over at Woo Woo, thank you very much for all your help in deciding which was the right product, why, and also explanations between then and now about certain things, including the whole, you know, sort of like mechanism thing and all that. So they've fed it back to Separett, and we've had, you know, information back about that kind of stuff, just to make sure that we weren't doing it wrong and we're not trying to break it or anything like that. But this is the right way it works, so that's all good. And obviously, yeah, ordering more of the poo bags as well, because, well, poo bags generally, if it's just me in the van, I would say 1 a week. Generally, as I said, because it fills more with toilet paper and a little bit of sawdust than it does with my poo. And I also, before I bought a bin, I was also using it for small bits of rubbish as well. So when I actually did take the poo bag out, it was full of shit, but it was full of, like, you know, a little bit of my poo, general waste out of my van, you know, packets of stuff, little cans of stuff, toilet paper and sawdust. So it isn't like I'm dropping solely a big bag of poo off at a bin. Just want to make that clear. And after, because it's in a dry area, and there's paper in there and sawdust and that, after a few days it dries up, so you don't even get any smells or anything like that after a few days, because all the moisture's gone out of it. It just dries up. So yeah, about a week, but that's just because of the way I've been using it. Other people say 2 weeks. I would imagine if it's me and Mandy, then I probably every few days. So yeah, maybe sort of like 3 days, 3-4 days. Again, depending on how much you eat and how much you go to the toilet, and if you have a bad belly or not. Speaking, go back to the bad belly bit. No, it didn't go through the bag. It was left there for probably about 24 hours before I can get somewhere to empty it. I'd used a lot of sawdust around there and a few squirts of the Sol BO, so there was no smells in the van, albeit it still was a little bit moist in there. But no, it didn't go through the bag. So while the bags are compostable, obviously the time it takes for them to compost is probably, like, you know, a few weeks rather than a few hours or a few days. So yeah, overall I'm very happy. I haven't obviously got worries about where a cassette door has to be to take a cassette out, either inside my van or outside my van. I've not got to cut a hole out for anything like that. And I'm not being funny or anything, but I'm emptying a bucket of pee down the drain. That's fine. Behind bushes, whatever, that's fine. Obviously I do it in considerate places. And I'm dropping the bin in big bins, you know, so my bag of poo is dropped in a very big open bin or closed bin or whatever. I'm not dropping it in sort of like a bin at a bus stop where people are going to be next to it all the time or anything like that. So I am very considerate about it. But if you do have questions, there were lots of questions last time, and I was very, very, very open and honest with people in the comments. and hopefully I changed a lot of people's minds about it as well, because I think a lot of people have a certain view about what's going on here and they don't like it. So if you are one of them and you've generally got, you know, ideas that you think it's disgusting, tell me why down below and we'll have a chat about it, an open chat. Because I think if you think it's disgusting, it's because you've never done it and used it and disposed of it correctly, and you've probably not got the right idea of it. Just like the fact that, you know, if someone talks about why are camper vans banned from, you know, some new area in Scotland, and it's because nasty camper vanners who probably hire a camper van or a motorhome for a week or something generally get the cassette and just open it up onto the side of the road and empty it that way, which is very disgusting. But it doesn't mean that everybody with a cassette toilet is disgusting, and it doesn't mean that's a disgusting thing to have a cassette toilet. So I hope you get from that there are, you know, alternatives to everything, and as long as you are the right kind of person to use that alternative responsibly, then I do think it's a perfectly okay thing to do. Like I say, my reason for doing this is what I didn't want a cassette toilet. I didn't want it fixed in a certain position. I can move this, rebuild my toilet, do whatever I want, simply because it's that easy to move around. I've not used the fan on there as well. Again, in summer that might change, I don't know. I might have a small box at the back of the toilet if I do need the fan, which has got, you know, sort of like a carbon filter or something like that, so that I can still try and get away with not having a hole under my van for the vent. But we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you informed. But for now, I've not needed the fan. Again, I think most of these kind of systems are developed for, again, not moving transport, not moving vehicles. So it could be, you know, maybe a shed office down the bottom of the garden, or an understairs kind of closet toilet, or maybe, you know, a tiny kind of like cabin in the woods, maybe even a boat or canal boat or something like that, but possibly not in the way that, you know, a moving vehicle, road salt in winter and insulation properties and all that you don't want holes everywhere in your van for these things. So that's why they've just developed something that's fine. For me, the noise of that fan would have driven me crazy going down all the time. Albeit, you know, yes, I could put a switch on it so that I could have it on only when I'm on the toilet, to remove most of the smells when I'm on the toilet, and then switch it off like an hour later or whenever I go to bed or something. Again, these things can all be changed, because right now I can move it around and I can make those changes if I need to. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that one. But overall, like I say, really, really happy. It has worked out exactly how I wanted it to. And I've seen other products. For example, Mandy bought a different product on her van build for her toilet, on the recommendation of a few other people we know. And yeah, I guess she'll produce a video on her channel letting you know that's about, and she'll have experience of both toilets. I've not used her toilet yet, so I can't really say, but she might be best to give you an opinion on whether she prefers this one or the other one that she's got. So far, I know for a fact that this one is well above the quality of Mandy's, but to be fair, Mandy's was a third of the price of this one, so, you know, swings and roundabouts. Yeah, there we go. So like I say, I am going to put an affiliate link in the video description. So if you do want to buy one at this new special price, use the affiliate link in the video description, and that'll take you to Woo Woo's website. And obviously you don't really have to buy this one. You can buy another one if you wanted to, a different type. They do sell different types of compostable or separating toilets. It's entirely up to you. I wouldn't really call them compostable. I'd call them separating. Just because I'm not ever going to wait for it to compost. I'm just wanting to separate them so it makes it easier for me to dispose of them. And that's about it. Right, I hope you have enjoyed this vlog from my poo palace. I did tell you I was going to make a video on my toilet, and yeah, why not? It's a video on my toilet. Right, like I say, any comments or questions or anything like that, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I shall do my best to answer any questions you've got. And until next time, see you later. Bye.